life. It would be a tedious repetition if more illustrations from savage life were given. Wherever we go we find the same sociable manners, the same spirit of solidarity, and when we endeavour to penetrate into the darkness of past ages, we find the same tribal life, the same associations of men, however primitive, for mutual support. Therefore Darwin was quite right when he saw in men's social qualities the chief factor for his further evolution, and Darwin's vulgarizers are entirely wrong when they maintain the contrary. The small strength and speed of man (he wrote), his want of natural weapons, etc., are more than counterbalanced, firstly by his intellectual faculties (which he remarked on another page have been chiefly or even exclusively gained for the benefit of the community), and secondly by his social qualities, which led him to give and receive aid from his fellow men. Descent of Man, 2nd edition, pages 63-64. In the last century the savage and his life in the state of nature were idealized, but now men of science have gone to the opposite extreme, especially since some of them, anxious to prove the animal origin of man, but not conversant with the social aspects of animal life, began to charge the savage with all imaginable bestial features. It is evident, however, that this exaggeration is even more unscientific than Rousseau's idealization. The savage is not an ideal of virtue, nor is he an ideal of savagery, but the primitive man has one quality, elaborated and maintained by the very necessities of his hard struggle for life. He identifies his own existence with that of his tribe, and without that quality mankind never would have attained the level it has attained now. Primitive folk, as has been already said, so much identify their lives with that of a tribe, that each of their acts, however insignificant, is considered as a tribal affair. Their whole behavior is regulated by an infinite series of unwritten rules of propriety, which are the fruit of their common experience, as to what is good or bad, what is beneficial or harmful for their own tribe. Of course the reasonings upon which their rules of propriety are based sometimes are absurd in the extreme. Many of them originate in superstition, and altogether in whatever the savage does, he sees but the immediate consequences of his acts. He cannot foresee their indirect and ulterior consequences, thus simply exaggerating a defect with which Bentham reproached civilized legislators. But absurd or not, the savage obeys the prescriptions of the common law, however inconvenient they may be. He obeys them even more blindly than the civilized man obeys the prescriptions of the written law. His common law is his religion, it is his very habit of living. The idea of the clan is always present to his mind, and self-restriction and self-sacrifice in the interests of the clan are of daily occurrence. If the savage has infringed one of the smaller tribal rules, he is prosecuted by the mockeries of the women. If the infringement is grave, he is tortured day and night by the fear of having called a calamity upon his tribe. If he has wounded by accident any one of his own clan, and thus has committed the greatest of all crimes, he grows quite miserable, he runs away in the woods, and is ready to commit suicide, unless the tribe absolves him by inflicting upon him physical pain, and sheds some of his own blood. See Bastian's Mens in der Geschichte, page 7, also Gray, Locke, 2nd, page 238. Within the tribe everything is shared in common. Every morsel of food is divided among all present, and if the savage is alone in the woods, he does not begin eating before he has loudly shouted thrice an invitation to any one who may hear his voice to share his meal. Mikluko, Maclay, Locke, same habit with the Hottentots. In short, within the tribe the rule of each for all is supreme, so long as the separate family has not yet broken up the tribal unity. But that rule is not extended to the neighboring clans or tribes, even when they are federated for mutual protection. Each tribe or clan is a separate unity. Just as among mammals and birds, the territory is roughly allotted among separate tribes, and except in times of war, the boundaries are respected. On entering the territory of his neighbors, one must show that he has no bad intentions. The louder one heralds his coming, the more confidence he wins, and if he enters a house, he must deposit his hatchet at the entrance. But no tribe is bound to share its food with the others. It may do so or it may not. Therefore the life of the savage is divided into two sets of actions, and appears under two different ethical aspects: the relations within the tribe and the relations with the outsiders, and (like our international law), the intertribal law widely differs from the common law. Therefore, when it comes to a war, the most revolting cruelties may be considered as so many claims upon the admiration of the tribe. This double conception of morality passes through the whole evolution of mankind, and maintains itself until now. We Europeans have realized some progress, not immense at any rate, in eradicating that double conception of ethics, but it also must be said that while we have in some measure extended our ideas of solidarity, in theory at least, over the nation, and partly over other nations as well, we have lessened the bonds of solidarity within our own nations, and even within our own families. The appearance of a separate family amidst the clan necessarily disturbs the established unity. A separate family means separate property and accumulation of wealth. We saw how the Eskimos obviate its inconveniences, and it is one of the most interesting studies to follow in the course of ages the different institutions (village communities, guilds, and so on) by means of which the masses endeavored to maintain the tribal unity, notwithstanding the agencies which were at work to break it down. On the other hand, the first rudiments of knowledge, which appeared at an extremely remote epoch, when they confounded themselves with witchcraft, also became a power in the hands of the individual which could be used against the tribe. They were carefully kept in secrecy, and transmitted to the initiated only in the secret societies of witches, shamans, and priors which we find among all savages. By the same time, wars and invasions created military authority, as also castes of warriors, whose associations or clubs acquired great powers. However, at no period of man's life were wars the normal state of existence. While warriors exterminated each other, and the priors celebrated their massacres, the masses continued to live their daily life. They prosecuted their daily toil, and it is one of the most interesting studies to follow that life of the masses, to study the means by which they maintained their own social organization, which was based upon their own conceptions of equity, mutual aid, and mutual support, of common law, in a word, even when they were submitted to the most ferocious theocracy or autocracy in the state. End of the second part of chapter 3. Recording by Enko. If you would like to send me an email, you can reach me at enkobilal@yahoo.com. That's ENKOBILAL@yahoo.com.